Returning home one day, I was stunned to find my room barren. "What's happening here?" I exclaimed. Behind me, my sister-in-law's voice cut through the silence, filled with a sense of victory. "You, a childless, unproductive woman, are nothing but an obstacle in my path. Leave." Her words dripped with malice as she attempted to usurp my parents' home. The notion was absurd. After all, I was single. "I'll unravel your devious plan," I vowed. My name is Catherine, a 40-year-old office worker navigating life's twists and turns. Though I've encountered potential partners, circumstances led me down the path of singlehood. Despite occasional bouts of loneliness, I've made peace with it. Marriage isn't the be-all and end-all. Besides, there's the responsibility of caring for my parents. With my older brother living afar, I took it upon myself to support our aging mother after her father's passing. Now, it's just the two of us, relishing the tranquility of our days together. Despite my mother's sharp mind, a year ago she suffered a leg injury, leaving her disabled. Now reliant on a cane, car, or wheelchair for mobility, she struggles even within the confines of our home, requiring constant care. Fortunately, being single and able to reside with her, I've been able to meet her needs. Were I married and living elsewhere or far away, the situation would be far more challenging. So I suppose my single status has its advantages. Yet while I've found contentment in my life, there's one who's discontented: my sister-in-law. Much younger than me, she married my older brother, making her, despite her status, my junior. They live distantly but return for holidays like Christmas and summer vacations. Whenever my brother's family visits, my sister-in-law seems to reserve her harshest words for me. This past Christmas was no exception. As they arrived, she wasted no time in whispering in my ear, "Still living off your parents, Catherine." Shocked, I retorted, "I'm not mooching off anyone. Just because I'm single and living at home at 40 doesn't make me a parasite." She scoffed. "Oh, really? Well, I'm raising 3 children. Can you even comprehend the responsibility? What's your point? The state's population is declining, isn't it? Our family is doing its part to reverse that trend. Singles like you are the problem," she sneered. "Do you take pleasure in population decline? Is life even worth it if you're single forever?" Her words stung. They struck a chord deep within me. Despite being single for various reasons, there was once a man I hoped to marry. But there were complications with my health. I'm unable to have children. When he asked me to be in a relationship, he knew this from the start, and I was transparent about it. He reassured me, "I just want to be with you, even if we can't have kids. As long as we're together, I'll be happy." So I agreed to date him, but marriage brought unforeseen complexities. The challenges and conflicts we faced led me to remain single. My sister-in-law's hurtful words left me speechless, yet she had the audacity to exploit me financially. "We have 3 kids, remember? Your Christmas gifts should reflect that. We expect generosity. You should contribute to our kids' kindergarten enrollment celebration, at least $1,000. You're not strapped for cash, auntie, so don't act like it. Don't you want to give our kids a good education? I'll let you help raise them, so pitch in for their extracurricular activities." It's as if she believes using the kids as leverage will justify her demands for more money. I don't mind giving gifts for special occasions, but I fail to comprehend why I have to endure her disapproving sighs as she inspects the cash in the envelope right then and there. Then why am I expected to foot the bill for their extracurricular activities? When I mention it to my mom or brother, they react with disbelief, unable to fathom such audacity from my sister-in-law because they've never witnessed it. That's the thing. Behavior only surfaces when we're alone. She's quite cunning. During the recent New Year's holiday, she wasted no time opening the gifts I gave to my nephew and niece while my brother stepped out briefly to assist my mom. With a disdainful tone, she remarked, "Is this all? Your gift is quite meager. How destitute are you, you tightwad?" It's yet another instance that my mom and brother struggle to believe. I've contemplated recording her behavior, but the potential fallout on family dynamics holds me back. I can't risk damaging relationships. After all, my mom cherishes her 3 grandkids dearly. If my grievances lead to my sister-in-law avoiding visits, it would deprive my mom of precious time with her grandchildren. That would be heartbreaking for her, so I opt to stay silent. If I can simply brush off her hurtful comments, perhaps things will calm down. That's what I believed until circumstances took a sharp turn. One weekday, my sister paid a visit. With my brother at work and me working from home, it was just the two of us. My mom was at a senior daycare center, the kids were at daycare, and they were due to visit their maternal grandparents afterward. In this rare moment, my sister-in-law came to see me alone. I was puzzled by her unexpected visit on an unusual day, but she wasted no time getting to the point. "I think we should move in here," she declared. I was taken aback. What could she possibly mean by that? "Move in," I echoed, seeking clarification. "Exactly. Our family has been considering it," she confirmed. "By our family, you mean?" I trailed off, trying to wrap my head around the idea. "My husband, our kids, and me," she clarified. "Here, in this house?" I asked, incredulous. "Yes, because I'm pregnant with our fourth child." I couldn't believe it. With 3 kids already, one in elementary school, another in kindergarten, and the youngest just starting preschool, they were expecting a fourth. It was impressive, but they currently lived near her parents, who likely provided support as they were doing today. So, I couldn't help but wonder, what would be the advantage of moving here? "John's getting transferred here. That's the scoop," she revealed. "John, my brother, now I recall him mentioning this. Seems there's a plan to open a branch office right here in our hometown. Who's eager for a branch office gig?" I asked. "John, apparently," she replied. He had volunteered for the position with enthusiasm. It made me wonder how personnel decisions could be so casually made. "Are you okay with this, sis? Wouldn't it be better to stay closer to Mom and Dad?" she inquired. "Mom and Dad are still working, so I can't lean on them too much. They start to fret if I ask too often, lecturing me with check with your husband first or stop delaying parenthood, assuming parents are the ultimate fallback. Mentioning a fourth child would just add to the stress." "Fair enough, that's your call. I'm not in the loop," I responded. I could empathize with your parents' viewpoint. My brother mentioned how he takes on household chores after work, cleaning, laundry, and even cooking dinner. My sister-in-law confirmed it. It's true. Despite his work fatigue, my brother has always been considerate and helpful. Maybe that's why he seemed worn out whenever I saw him. Still, isn't expanding the family a bit daring? I questioned. "Life is a blessing, a joyous occasion," she countered. "I'm not one to say, stop having kids. But why the move to our place?" My confusion must have been evident. My sister-in-law explained. "Dealing with my parents is a hassle, and our current location is too isolated and inconvenient. Instead of leaving John to fend for himself here, we thought it'd be better for all of us to move in together." "Well, there are plenty of daycare options around here, right? So, Catherine, could you please find a place of your own soon?" My sister-in-law's words left me dumbfounded. What on earth was she suggesting? "I'm about moving in. Let's discuss that with my mom and brother. But why should I be the one to leave? Think about it. We'll soon be a family of 6, right?" I reasoned. "That's true," she conceded. "So won't this house be too cramped?" I continued. "Well, I suppose," she reluctantly agreed. "Then why are you telling me to leave?" I pressed. "I don't understand. Yes, 6 people is a lot, but 8 of us, including my mom and me, can manage living together. Sure, when the kids grow up, sharing individual rooms may become necessary, but worrying about that seems premature." Growing increasingly frustrated by my confusion, my sister-in-law raised her voice. "Look, you're in the way. You're childless and getting older. For our sake, move out, and don't go too far. You'll still need to help with the kids," she demanded. After her tirade, she abruptly left, urging me to vacate the premises soon. "We need to have a family meeting." That evening, I briefed my mom on Susan's remarks and dialed my brother. His response caught me off guard. "I've arranged a separate house for my family," he disclosed. "Sure, I've been traveling a lot for work, and I know it's been hard on Susan, but is she really that unhappy in the countryside?" His confusion was palpable over the phone. There was still something unclear. Despite this, Susan's plan to move in with us was seemingly put on hold, or so I thought. After a long stretch of working from home, I returned to the office one day. My mom was staying overnight at the daycare, worn out from work. When I got back home, I was met with a shock. What? My room? Completely empty. It felt surreal. Where had all my belongings gone? I got rid of them. All of them. Susan's voice startled me from behind. Turning around, there she was. "Susan, what are you doing here?" I exclaimed. "Shh, you'll wake the kids," she hushed me. "What kids?" "You'll wake the kids?" "What kids?" I questioned, bewildered. "The 3 kids are here until the beds arrive tomorrow. They're sleeping on the living room couch," Susan explained. Rushing into the living room, I found my nephews and niece fast asleep. What's happening? I demanded, still trying to process the situation. Susan, looking amused and somewhat speechless, chuckled. You wouldn't budge, so I had to resort to drastic measures. I'm not leaving. I've already discussed this with my brother. Do you think you can just do as you please? Do you realize how many people you're inconveniencing? I retorted. Who's the one doing as they please here? I'm the one inconvenienced. I wanted to snap back, but I held my tongue, mindful of the sleeping children. Susan, however, disregarded my restraint and declared loudly, Who cares what your mother or brother says? If you move out and our family moves in, they wouldn't object. That's for sure. What? Where's all my stuff? I exclaimed, bewildered. I had a junk removal service take it all away. Susan replied casually. No way. You got rid of everything, even my photo albums. This is unbelievable, I protested. Come on, if you understand, then leave. Susan insisted. What? Hold on. Let's not argue. I resisted, but she easily overpowered me and ejected me from the house. It was nighttime, and causing a scene wouldn't help. She ignored the doorbell and my calls. With no other option, I spent the night at a budget hotel. The next day, I took a day off from work and hurried home. As I reached for the door, Susan emerged. Oh, Susan, I exclaimed, trying to reach my brother, but to no avail. Let's talk anyway. My husband is on a long business trip abroad, and the time difference makes it hard to reach him. You know I was on my way out, so make sure you take care of my kids. With Susan's abrupt departure leaving me stunned, I had no choice but to look after the 3 children. When my mom returned home that evening, I greeted her with a bitter expression. Mom, isn't this a bit too much? It's certainly excessive to disregard John's input and act so assertively. Leaving the kids behind and going out is unbelievable. If she needed to leave them with someone, her own parents would have been the logical choice. I concurred with my mother. And what are the actual advantages of living here? Plus, she went out all dressed up. There might be a clue in that, I added, pondering. In agreement with my mother's assessment, I promptly enlisted the services of a private investigator. A month later, I found myself in a hurried search for a 1-bedroom apartment as temporary accommodation. Susan had completely redesigned my room in my parents' house, rendering it unrecognizable. John was livid, admonishing her, You can't just do whatever you want. But she seemed to argue that moving in would be better than their current residence. She also made comments like, You're often away for work, right? I thought it'd be nice for the family to stay together, so I tagged along. Raising children is truly challenging. It's only natural to live close to family and seek their assistance, he reasoned. When he mentioned that my mother required care, Susan retorted, Catherine does, doesn't she? She's always at home. She must have plenty of free time. I'm not just sitting around. I'm actually working from home. I defended myself, but Susan remained resolute about not allowing me back into the house. You can't think you'll get away with this forever. We need to talk, I asserted, lacking support from my brother, prompting a family meeting. Why the sudden urgency? I'm pregnant. Let's make this quick, okay? Susan grumbled, though her belly showed no visible signs yet. Disregarding her complaint, the 4 of us, my brother, Mom, Susan, and I, gathered in the living room. By the way, we've left the kids at a weekend daycare. Susan, first off, please apologize for disposing of my belongings without my consent, I requested. But Susan scoffed at my words. It's your own fault for not leaving sooner. Without hesitation, she added, people like you, who can't even have kids, should just live in a rundown apartment. Yes, it's true I can't have kids, but I was living here for Mom's sake, I countered. But your mother-in-law would enjoy living with her grandkids more than with you, Susan asserted, glancing at my mom. Mom replied diplomatically, living with my grandkids would certainly bring me joy. However, Susan cut her off with a triumphant smirk. See, it's more meaningful for us to live together than with an unproductive person like you. Ignoring Susan's taunt, Mom continued, if they were my real grandchildren. Ha! Susan was bewildered, not grasping my mom's implication. Suddenly, my brother produced a large envelope. What's this? I asked. The findings of your affair investigation, my brother revealed calmly. Ha! Susan looked surprised, staring at my brother, who continued unfazed. You didn't think we'd find out, did you? What are you talking about? I never cheated on you. Susan protested. Really? So these pictures are all fake, then? My brother retorted, spreading several photos on the table. Among them. Wait, no, Susan exclaimed, recognizing herself in compromising situations with another man. I found it odd when you insisted we move away from our parents who were helping with the kids to live here. Sure, the city offers more convenience, but you're not even utilizing childcare services and are relying on Catherine for childcare, aren't you? Well, I need a break too. Why not use childcare services like today? It's a waste of money. Do you think I haven't given you enough money? I'm saving up for our future. You defend it. What's the point when our bank account is empty? John interjected, presenting the bank book, which indeed showed a balance of 0. Hey, why are you brushing this off? It's our family's money. I have every right to check. So where's the savings for our future? Well, it's in a different account, you stammered. Oh, really? Let's see that bank book then. I don't have it with me. Where is it? John pressed further. Well, Susan hesitated, her lies becoming increasingly apparent. Despite the moderate temperature, sweat formed on her forehead. Maybe it's in the attic, she finally mumbled. John slammed his hand on the table. Enough. No more lies. Can you still justify yourself in light of this evidence? He demanded, pointing to a photo. Oh, I'm sorry. I made a mistake, Susan confessed, her composure slipping. You've been having an affair with this man since we got married, haven't you? John accused. The guy confessed to me, Susan protested. What? Why were you talking to him? He has a family too. He only confessed to me under the condition that I wouldn't tell his wife, John exclaimed. What? He betrayed me. Susan exclaimed in disbelief. The one who betrayed us is you. Susan seemed flustered under John's intense glare. Eventually, she regained her composure, the sweat dissipating. Well, I regret the affair. It won't happen again, I promise. But I think it's best not to divorce. It's not good for the kids to be without their mother, and besides, I'm carrying a new life. You wouldn't want to be separated from your own child, would you? Turning to me, Susan continued, you can't expect grandchildren from a childless daughter. And if I take the kids and leave after the divorce, you'll never see your grandkids again. Is that what you want, mother-in-law? She laughed triumphantly at our silence. See? Exactly. Useless old woman, just a nuisance. It's only natural for her to leave. Susan stumped around, visibly agitated. Then, unexpectedly, my mother spoke up calmly. Well, you who are completely unproductive to me should also leave with your child. Huh? Susan's smile faltered as she looked at my mother in confusion. John then handed her a document. What's this? She asked, puzzled. Huh? DNA test results. Negative. Susan exclaimed in disbelief. What is this? She demanded. It's the result of a DNA test between me and the kids. When did you? John began. That's none of your business. Anyway, the results speak for themselves. None of them are mine. And here are the results confirming your affair, meaning they are indeed your kids, John interrupted, handing her the document. What? Huh? My kids aren't mine, Susan gasped. Meaning they're not my mother's grandchildren. They're complete strangers. I added, stunned by the revelation. No, it can't be true. You're lying. You knew about this, didn't you? You orchestrated this. Susan accused, her voice rising in panic. I didn't. That's what the other guy said. John protested. You told him it's sad that our children can't live together as a family, I interjected, shocked by the revelation. Susan looked as though she might faint any moment, her face drained of color. Then my mom delivered the final blow. So, you're a burden because you can't bear my son's children. Please pack up and leave with the kids and hurry. What? Are you going to throw us out onto the street? These young kids, you monster. Susan cried out, attempting to garner sympathy. The real monster is you. Another voice boomed through the room, causing Susan to whirl around, eyes wide with shock. Dad, why are you here? And Mom too. Standing before us were Susan's actual parents. They've agreed to take all the children once I explain the situation, my dad explained. You foolish daughter. Can there be anything more shameful for a parent to hear? Susan's father's stern words caused her face to pale even further as she sobbed. John, Catherine, I apologize deeply for my daughter's foolishness. We will make sure she faces the consequences, Susan's mother added. Consequences? Hold on, I can't afford that. Susan protested. Will you cover for me, Dad? She pleaded. No way. I'll lend you the money, but you're paying me back even if it takes you a lifetime, her father declared sternly. With that, her father whisked Susan, who was on the verge of tears, away without waiting for a response. Her mother, repeatedly bowing deeply in apology, left a lasting impression. Despite being good parents, they had raised such a daughter. Raising kids is tough, huh? I remarked lightheartedly. Later on, my brother John smoothly went through with the divorce. Her parents cleared the alimony and her expenses from the affair in one go. The kids went back to their grandparents' home. They've been there before, so they're adjusting fine without any confusion. They didn't do anything wrong, John, who had always believed they were his biological children, said with a hint of sadness. It's hard to accept that they're suddenly not yours. I hope John's wounds heal one day, I mused. 3 years later, John found a great partner and had a child of his own. But that's another story. As for Susan, she had her 4th child, and when she tested for paternity, it confirmed it wasn't John's. Under strict supervision from her parents, she worked tirelessly, but she continued her affair. Eventually, her infidelity was exposed to her lover's wife, leading to a major confrontation. After the intense altercation, Susan faced more alimony payments, and it appeared she was ejected from her parents' home. Her whereabouts remained a mystery thereafter. As for me, I continued to lead a tranquil life, caring for my mother as always. Remarkably, all the belongings she disposed of were swiftly recovered by contacting the waste disposal company on the same day. On one such serene day, a familiar face greeted me unexpectedly. It had been quite some time. Before me stood the man I had once envisioned marrying. I couldn't forget about you, and I've remained single all this time. Even my parents have relented, albeit for a somewhat selfish reason. With my brother now married and having a child, they've told me I'm free to pursue marriage as I please, he confessed, a gentle smile adorning his face. Caught off guard, he presented me with a ring. It may be belated, but I can't imagine being with anyone else. I want to support you in caring for your mother. So will you marry me? Overwhelmed, tears welled up in my eyes. Without hesitation, I embraced him tightly, his tender smile offering reassurance.